What if I told you one of the cheapest supermarket foods could be one of the most powerful hormone-supporting foods that women can be eating in perimenopause, menopause, and around hormonal fluctuations? What am I talking about? I'm talking about beans and legumes. You can get them canned from a supermarket. They're super cheap, and it's something that I believe every woman in midlife should be having even just a little of. Now, before you switch off because you're like, beans give me bloat, gas, I don't want to have them, stick with me because I'm also going to be sharing with you one of a specific legume which has very low bloat and is one of the most powerful hormone supporting legumes there. And I'm also going to be going through how you actually prepare the beans and legumes that then they don't give you the bloat. So let's go through everything because I really know that you can start getting these into your diet and you will start feeling a little bit better. Hi, I'm Well Hearing, and I help women in their 40s and 50s not just survive it, but optimize their 40s and 50s so they can go into their 70s and 80s with longevity, with just a better quality of life. I believe that food is medicine, and then when you eat with your physiology, especially as a woman, because we need more support as females, your midlife body becomes a body that can carry you through the later decades of your life in a better way. Today we're talking about beans and legumes, and I love these little powerhouses. The protein, the fiber, the microbiome magic. It's going to support all your gut health, all your gut lining. It's just amazing for you. So as always, I really like we have to know ourselves, but we have a little bit of knowledge. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of knowledge of why beans are good for you. Pair that with action, and then you're more likely to take those actions because you know how it works for you. And then results become inevitable. So I'm going to put it really simply for you. The reasons why beans and legumes are one of the most underrated hormone supporting foods that we could be having. So a lot of women don't actually realize that when they go through perimenopause, they think that estrogen is just a decline. It's not. It goes up and down. It's a fluctuations. And it's often these fluctuations that are causing our symptoms because those fluctuations, they change how we metabolize estrogen, how our gut barrier works, how inflamed we are, how we regulate our blood sugar, and how hungry we feel. Beans can help with all of that. So let's get into some reasons why I love beans for hormonal health when you're in your midlife and as a woman. Okay, first of all, estrogen has these highs and lows, but you also need to detoxify estrogen. It goes through a pathway within our liver and then our gut. Now, at the gut level, if we don't have our microbiome working for us, then it can recirculate that estrogen, which is not a great thing because that's the thing that's going to cause us with stiff joints and a sore body, all inflammation. So we actually want to be excreting it out. And beans and legumes have a property in it which help bind the estrogen to be able to excrete it. And when we have less recirculating estrogen, we have fewer symptoms, especially the bloating, the heavy cycles, the mood swings, tender breasts, and the meno-belly. So a lot of women look for supplements in these areas. However, if they just add a few more beans in their diet, they wouldn't need the supplements. Okay, second reason why beans are amazing is that they help stabilize our blood glucose, our blood sugars. So as we go through perimenopause, our estrogen starts dropping. The way in which our insulin responds, our blood glucose, all of that within our muscle, that changes. And quite often we are way more sensitive to spikes. And then we get more of them and we end up getting higher cravings as well. So more cravings, so we're either fighting ourselves or we're giving in. We have higher spikes, and which can then lead to more cravings, belly fat, poor sleep. It's an endless cycle. What beans do is that they help actually slow the digestion of these carbohydrates to get into our cells, so we don't have these spikes. So what ends up happening too, it's not just at that meal, it's like the second meal response. So just say you have really bad cravings at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. What I would suggest is having beans and legumes for your lunch and seeing how those cravings change once you start incorporating beans and legumes for lunch. That often that second meal, we don't end up having the cravings and everything like that. And also, often after we've had the beans and legumes, we don't get that craving. So basic translation is that you have beans and legumes. We don't need to use our motivation to eat well. We just do because we don't end up having the cravings. We're working with our physiology instead of against it. Okay, reason number 3 is that beans feed your microbiome. So as our estrogen starts going down, our diversity of our microbiome starts declining as well. And so that's why in midlife you can start having more food sensitivities, because our microbiome diversity is not as good as it was when we had high estrogen. So when we have low microbiome diversity, it affects our mood, our immunity, it affects inflammation, digestion, and brain clarity. That brain fog, yes, beans can help with your brain fog. I think beans are one of the most supportive microbiome producing foods on the planet. And then when we feed our microbiome these wonderful, wonderful beans, our microbiome then produces these short-chain fatty acids, in particular butyrate, which is amazing in midlife health, especially because it helps with our inflammation, and it also helps support our gut lining, so we have less food sensitivities as well. So get on the bean train and start having some beans at your lunch, at your dinner, wherever suits you. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. You're going, well, this is great, sounds great, and I want to start having beans, but every time I have beans, I just get so bloated and it's really uncomfortable. And if you're anything like me, I hate being bloated, like having something around my stomach when it just makes you feel nauseous. So what can you do to reduce the bean or the gas producing properties of beans? Now, first of all, just because you have beans sometimes gives you bloat doesn't mean it's always going to give you bloat. For some people, it doesn't at all. And the way that you prepare your beans and the way that you serve your beans can actually help with that. So let's start with dried beans. If you're having dried beans, which are by far the cheapest, soak them for 8 to 12 hours. Just Google how long to soak legumes for, how long to soak chickpeas for. Soak them for 8 to 12 hours. Then when you cook them up, either pressure cook them. If you don't have a pressure cooker, then boil them up for the required time. Just look on Google for the required time, but change the water halfway through cooking. This can dramatically help with the digestibility of beans and legumes if you're really struggling. If you're not struggling, you don't need to do it, but if you are struggling, I would suggest doing this. So if you're having canned beans, now canned beans, obviously super simple because you don't need to cook them or anything. Rinse them, but make sure you're rinsing them until the bubbles stop. So just keep rinsing them because it does take a little while. But once all the bubbles go, then add them to your foods. Don't do that before. Okay, and lastly, when you are adding them to your foods, having them with things like apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, cumin, garlic can really help the digestibility of the beans and stop producing that gas. And then if you're still really struggling, start small. So start with a tablespoon of beans. Let your microbiome get used to it because you don't want to overload your microbiome. And if you have never been having beans before and you have half a cup, chances are you're going to get bloated because you don't have the digestive ability to start breaking it down. Start with a tablespoon and work your way up. Pretty soon you'll be having half a cup and you will not be getting bloated because you would have trained your microbiome to be able to handle these high fiber foods. And then also you'll be getting the benefits from it and life will be amazing. Okay, I said that I'm going to give you the best beans for hormone balance. Well, I want to add one in there because this is the one that I like myself because it's super easy and I really like easy. It's edamame beans because you can get them in the frozen section either at a supermarket or if not there at the Asian store. Have frozen. You can always keep them in your household and just boil them up or steam them up when you want to chuck them in a salad. I love edamame beans. They're just so versatile and super easy, and easy is the key. The best bean and legume for hormonal balance, which one would I recommend? Start with lentils. They're super easy to digest. They contain the highest levels of soluble fiber. They have polyphenols that reduce inflammation. The resistant starch helps heal the gut lining. And they've got gentle phytoestrogens that help modulate estrogen. So phytoestrogens don't increase estrogen, they don't decrease, they help stabilise it. So this is going to be amazing for hormonal health. So specifically, if you're talking about hot flushes, if you're talking about mood swings, irregular cycles, perimenopausal insomnia, oh, that's a bad one, and meno-belly, try having some lentils in your diet. Again, start small. You're pretty quickly going to be able to move up with lentils, and they will be working for you. How much beans and legumes are you actually aiming for to help symptoms? So what you want to be getting is about 3 or 4 servings a week. So that's around half a cup a day. So I know it's a week, but if you aim for half a cup a day, some days you probably won't have it, but at least you'll be getting them probably 3, 4, more like 5 times a week, which will be amazing for you. So sometimes I kind of think aim higher to give you leeway to come back to a little bit lower. So aim for every day. If you miss a day, it doesn't really matter too much. The research is very clear. It improves blood sugar regulation, it improves inflammation, it improves estrogen metabolism. It helps with weight control, gut lining, and can help with mental clarity, which I need more of. So you don't need to have a giant bowl of them. You can get really inventive and add them to your meals. So for red lentils, for example, they're one of my favorites to chuck in like a chili con carne. I soak them and then I chuck them in, and they do break down that you can't even see that you're having them. Other things which I've tried is having a can of black beans, whizzing it up with a couple of eggs and chucking that through your mince to make mince patties, fibre plus a mince. I mean, this is great. It's not only great for you, it's going to be great for your family as well. But other things which you can add them to, you can add beans to salad, and I always try to get a can of beans in my salads. You can add chickpeas to soup. You can even add like black beans to omelettes and things like that. Hummus is an easy snack. And you also, if you want to experiment, try a little bit of a dosa. Make up a dosa with some lentils in. That can be really good to replace bread if you want to replace bread as well. So these little tweaks are going to have huge payoffs. So get on the bean and legume train, especially if you've got perimenopausal symptoms. Aim to work up to that half a cup. Do that for 30 days and see how your symptoms change. One change could make a world of difference, and you won't know until you try. Okay, so if midlife feels really chaotic, your mood, your energy, you're just not feeling like yourself, food is one of the most powerful levels that you can pull. And beans and legumes are one of the cheapest and simplest ones that you can start adding to your diet today. So if you want to go deeper into midlife physiology and little tips and tricks that you can use right now to optimize your 40s and 50s, make sure you subscribe, you follow along, because I'll be sharing with you lots of stuff that I know will help you optimize these decades, but also help future-proof our future, going into our 70s and 80s, and our longevity and just being in the best possible quality of life we can be. In the meantime, go dust those beans out in the back of your pantry, because I know you have some. Check the date, check the expiry date first, and then add them to your meals tonight, because it's they're a great versatile food that most women are not having, but an easy tweak that if you do start doing could be an amazing thing for you.